right, welcome to the Boot Hill Sports Network and Shooting Hoops in the Boot. We got a lot to talk about on this episode. It's been a while since we've been here. And you can see me and Jeremy had bragging right games today, and Illinois took the win over Mizzou in a close one. So, Jeremy, how you feeling there, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm feeling great. You talk about the bragging rights game. Great game all the way through. I was nervous, but Illinois pulled it off. Right after that, my Rams go on. Another big win. Seattle just lost, so we're taking that division home. And now it's time for Shooting Hoops. So I feel great. How about you guys?
I'm good, man. How are you, Chris?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm representing my. You know, if you ain't caught the I'll Take the Over podcast. Got my nephew Josh Brown on there. So hey, shout out to him and his Penn State and Italy Lions, who had an easy time with their first round college football playoff. And man, other than that, just getting ready for Christmas. Watching football today, doing a little work, and that's about it, man. What's going on with you, Charlie?
Man, nothing much. I just got home from Illinois today. I'm wearing this Ole Miss hoodie because it's the only thing I could find that was clean. I would be wearing my Packers jersey, but we're not playing tonight. I mean, I can't openly rep the Packers on a Sunday now. But
we can break it out tomorrow.
And I will be when we beat the Saints by 28.
There you got it, folks.
You have to make a bet on that.
First prediction there on tomorrow night's Monday night game by Charlie there. All right, guys, we know we got a lot of controversy surrounding this Bloomfield Christmas tournament that's coming up. It stems from the fiasco that happened at the Gideon Bulldog Classic, a tournament that they did not finish up, and that has some effect on our top 10. And speaking of top 10, we each are going to go over our top 10 list a little later in the show for our listeners out there. And we do got our comment button on. If you guys want to make some comments and chime in at any time, feel free. You can ask any one of us a question. Charlie is the one still in school, so he's probably got the best IQ. Just a little hint there. But guys, let's talk. Let's take it back to the Gideon Bulldog Classic because we really haven't been on since then. A lot of mishaps going on over there at Gideon for the last 2 years in a row. And this year involved Hayti and South Pim getting kicked out of the Bloomfield tournament. I've got some thoughts on that. I don't know how that could get you kicked out of another tournament, man. It's kind of like, and somebody said it, a person from Missouri goes to Disney World and gets in a fight. Now all of a sudden people from Missouri can't go to Disney World. But I don't know, guys. Give me your thoughts on what you got, Jeremy.
First of all, it's a shame. Anytime anything like this happens, and recently I've seen it's happened actually in other states too. There was a big fight in Kentucky and one up north in the St. Louis area, and it's just an absolute shame. The first part to point out is that none of the student athletes were involved. This was a brawl that started at the concession stand area by fans who had just entered. I don't know a lot. I wasn't at the Gideon tournament. I can't say what kind of security was and was not in place. It didn't sound like a whole lot to me. But then again, on the other side, you don't expect that you need basically the FBI or the SWAT team in there to watch a basketball tournament. It's a shame. But when it comes down to kicking the teams out of the tournament because of the actions of others that were not involved in the basketball game itself, I disagree with. I disagreed with the repercussions that happened to Caruthersville 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, whatever you want to call it. And I disagree now. And unfortunately, it just is an ugly stamp on the Boot Heel and the Boot Heel area sports. We know personally, we know so many of the players and the coaches, and that's what these guys are all about when it comes to the athletics. They're not about violence. I've seen great sportsmanship in every game that I've covered this year between the players and the coaches. So it's an ugly, ugly, dark cloud. And unfortunately, it's over Southeast Missouri. And I think the wrong people are paying the price for it. And there's no other fallout from it now, because I know that there's still rumors out there, and there's going to be rumors about teams that are still on schedules possibly canceling in the future. I don't know that for sure, but that's been said, and we really won't know until game time, basically, or the day of, or the day before. Just overall reaction, it's just so disappointing. The old saying, one, and we saw this at the Battle of the Boot Deal in Hayti. We saw it at the Gideon Classic. We saw it last year, and there's no room for it in sports. I know that, and I just want to say, I feel bad for the fact that to finish the tournament, and now other schools look to Hayti and South Penn and still Caruthersville as teams that play not necessarily because of their talent, but because of their reputation, their town's reputation, not the team itself.
Yeah. Here's another thing that I'm going to add, and I think it's just the way society is today. We are quick to be automatically found guilty instead of innocent. It's backwards nowadays, and I think exactly that is what happened once the police report came out, or the letter from New Madrid County Sheriff's Department. Things could have been made right. They chose not to be right, and therefore I'm just flabbergasted this whole deal. I mean, I'm all about protecting students, by God, yes, but when you elect not to play either Crosville, Hayti, or South Penn at their home court, where I know we have metal detectors, but then you change it to your home court, and then we go in there, there's no metal detectors. To me, that just don't make no sense. So I don't get it. Chris, what are your thoughts on the situation in the Bloomfield Christmas tournament?
Well, first of all, let me say that Portersville Bulldogs are going to be there. They got a first round matchup, and they're going to play the day after Christmas, and for that I'm thankful. But the precedent was tragically and wrongly set back when Crothersville got voted out and had to go through all that rigmarole. And of course, Coach Lamont Bell didn't deserve not any of that. A good a guy as he is, then you fast forward, fights happen, man. I mean, I'm sure that back in the 60s and 70s, surely there was fights that happened. I mean, it's just, dog eat dog, mano y mano, guys. There's going to be fights happen. Now, as a society, we're just quick to want to punish a group that it's just sad that the Hayti players wasn't involved. It was a student that once attended South Penn, got kicked out, went to Hayti, got kicked out, and then now it's a reflection. So, I mean, hey, that kid, he has accomplished a whole lot. That one kid look what this one kid has accomplished. He's got 2 good teams kicked out of the Bloomfield tournament. Now, I will say this though.
While he still can go.
But
right.
The Gideon tournament and the Bloomfield tournament, those are invitational tournaments. So, they have every right to invite who they want to and not invite who they don't want to. But, with the way that South Penn and Hayti are playing this year, it's just a shame that they're not showcased at Bloomfield, like they have been in the past, because, man, they could sure give Risco and Puxico and those kind of teams a run for their money. And, I'll make this my final point. These other teams, Bloomfield, Gideon, Bernie, you better hope that you don't have troubled kids coming to your school system and you go to another tournament and something gets started, because this precedent that has been set down, it needs to continue. It's got to continue if it's going to be a fair thing. So, with that, it's just sad. I hate it. Hate it for Coach Webb. I hate it for Coach McGowan as well. But, like I say, I'll be rooting for my Bulldogs as they got a first round matchup. And it's still going to be a good tournament.
Yeah, you talk about Coach McGowan. I mean, how you think he feels, man? His team was the one attacked.
Yeah,
Exactly.
To just be in the lobby and getting kicked out of an invitational tournament for defending yourself. I wish, I just wish the Democratic side of things would have took place a little bit more in that meeting. I think you had some people that just was just done with South Pim and Hayti, and maybe wanted to be for a while. Who knows? Because it's a great tournament to be involved in, and I just wish some more thought would have got given to it instead of these quick, judgment handed down.
Yeah, for sure. Charlie, you as a student can give us some insight on the how it feels from the student side. You got a little advantage on the inside there. Tell us how you feel about it.
It's really just a shame, Hayti, especially Bloomfield Christmas Tournament's historic for them. I believe they've been there for the better part of around 40 years playing in that tournament. And the fact that they can't continue the history because of an action of one student is just depressing, really. And you have South Pim, who was a Final Four team last year, made a good run in it, who, as Chris mentioned, could beat a Puxico team, could beat some of these teams that are in the tournament. And them not being allowed to play because some people think, well, it happened here, what can happen here, is sad, really. And I mean, it repeated last year with Crothersville, where they had to, halfway through the year, make a schedule out of nowhere where they had to get these Fulton County, South Iron. They had to get these, relatively bigger enough schools than them to come play or have to go and take the 30-minute road trip, or for South Iron, a 2.5-hour road trip up north to play. And it's just sad that we still have this issue in high school sports and in the country as a whole, that we can't feel safe going to a basketball game or a football game,
Yeah, absolutely. And we all are about safety for sure, man. And hopefully this does not continue, and we continue on with a great hoop seasons, because we got some great teams here in Southeast Missouri, fellas, and that Boot Hill Conference is loaded, as we're going to talk about here in a little while. But a special shout out goes to Jamonte Alexander, who signed to play college football at Culver Stockton. Jamonte is a 5'10", 186 pound. He had 3 offers. Check this 2024 stats out, guys. He had 26 touchdowns, 1,400 rushing yards, 469 receiving yards. In his defense and special teams, he had 628 yards, 70 tackles, 15 pass deflections, and 11 interceptions. 11 interceptions in a season. That is a career right there, guys. What are your thoughts on Mr. Alexander there, Jeremy?
Well, I got to say, first and foremost, amazing stats. Of course, got to see each and every game. And every single game, I was still surprised by what he did on the field. Now, you go over those stats. I'll say this. Those stats are deflated a little bit because I cannot tell you how many touchdowns. I don't remember for sure. I know it's right around a handful of touchdowns that he had called back due to what was usually a block in the back, and 2 of them were holds. And so those numbers would be even higher. To think about that is just incredible. And not only that, yes, he's amazing on the field, and I think he's going to become even more amazing as he continues his football career. But the guy off the field is one of the most stand-up, likable students that I've met probably in my years of covering high school athletics and all athletics. Just a great kid all around. He's been on our show, coach's show, a couple times, and thank goodness, Mark, you were there to cover his signing. So, Jamonte, just in case you're listening, again, congratulations. And I think I can't think of a more well-deserving student who's really put in the time and the effort, both on the field and off the field, academically, athletically. Jamonte's got the whole package. He's a leader. He's a leader on the basketball court, too. I've seen that throughout the season so far. And I'll just put it like this. I'll be a Jermonte Alexander fan until the day I die.
Yeah, Jamonte Alexander, I'm a big fan too, man. I mean, how can you not be? He's a Travis Hunter type. He could play imagine the challenge that coach at the next level is going to have. Where are you going to play him at? I mean, he does everything great. So, man, kudos to him. I mean, I know he's put in all the work. He's led by example. There's been a lot of students there at Crowsville High School. And probably at junior high, when he was in junior high, that has looked up to him and his example, and it just, nothing but great things. And I just love seeing success stories, and I know that he's going to be a success story. So congratulations, Jamonte Alexander, man, great job.
It's great to see someone go to the next level from Crothersville, and someone that I know personally. As a whole, being able to go to the next level is amazing. Someone that is in my trigonometry class that every single day makes fun of the way I move a camera during games is impeccable. And, he's nicknamed All-State for a reason, and he's going to show it in the NAIA level, and hopefully he can show it in that D1 level in the future.
I can tell you why he's good.
He pays attention to detail, Charlie. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, he ought to be All-State because he causes mayhem just like that guy does right there. Tell you, a lot of chaos on that football field he created. And like Jeremy did say, he had a few called back, man. I know one or two against Hayti got called back, so had more in the stat column potentially there.
Yeah, two.
All right, guys, now let's go ahead and talk about basketball. That's why we're here, man. We had some good teams off to some great starts, guys. We got South Pim at 3-0, East Prairie's 5-0, Scott City's at 6-0, Woodlands at 6-0, Hayti's at 6-1, Puxico's at 5-1, Campbell is 7-1. Campbell's won 2 tournaments they are been in. They won the Campbell Invitational and the Zenith Hornersville Christmas Tournament. And then Risco, of course, with Sammy Smith, they're 7-1. They won the Clarkton Christmas Tournament. And then Zenith Hornersville still hovering around at 7-1. And then we got Richland at 5-2. We got Crothersville at what is Crothersville's record, Jeremy? There 3-5, I believe, or something like that.
3-6.
3-6 after a rough start. And then they won 3 in a row, and then they dropped the last 2. But Crothersville has played a heck of a schedule. And we'll get into last week's top 10, guys. Last week's top 10, we had South Pemscott at number 1 at 3-0. I'm sorry. Yeah, last week they were number 1. East Prairie was number 2. Puxico was number 3. Scott City was 4. Hayti was 5. Campbell was 6. Risco was 7. Zenith Hornersville was 8. And then I don't have the 9th, but 10th place was Crothersville, I do believe. Those were our teams from last week. So what we did is we all went together and got our own top 10 this week. I'll let Jeremy start off with his top 10, and let's see where we're going. Yes, Chris Stone, Crosby is playing some tough teams, not only from Arkansas, but from Tennessee as well. And of course, they played in that River Bend, and they played over in Dyersburg at that classic, and now they're headed to Manila to play some tough teams over there. So you're right, Chris.
Their strength of schedule's got to be the best in Missouri. It's got to be.
Oh yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, Chris, you mentioned the Arkansas teams. Actually, Crothersville will be taking on Gosnell on Thursday night, and then we'll be playing Manila on Friday, and then the rest of the bracket will be determined after those games are played for Saturday. But yeah, the thing about Crothersville is they started off, and this is exactly how Coach Bell wanted it. They started off the season really running a very tough gauntlet. 4 straight teams, 2 of them we've mentioned on the program. Unfortunately, I don't have Crothersville this week in the top 10, just because of recent play and because the other teams that I have on here. Now, I want to make a note. I do have East Prairie at number 1. I have South Pemscott at number 2. And here's the reason that South Pemscott in my mind is number 2. It's only because now I got the privilege of watching South Pemscott in the best basketball, the most thrilling basketball game I've got to call this year. Play against Riverside out of close to Jonesboro, Arkansas. Was a 16-2 team ranked at either
Yes, sir.
21 or 22 in the state.
21.
21 in the state. I watched South Pemscott, undersized. If you just look on paper, undermatched, and I watched South Pem basically make Riverside chase them the whole game. Now, Riverside did have a shot with 1.9 seconds. They could have won the game with a buzzer beater. They missed it. South Pem won that game. The reason I can't put South Pem at 1, and I'd love to, is just on base of the scale size. They've only at 3-0. I think without all the stuff we talked about with Gideon, on a fair level, I still think they're undefeated, but I do have South Pem going a long way. They're number 2. I've got Hayti. I'm sorry. I think Hayti is a powerhouse. I've seen Mark. I've been watching every bit that I can. I really think that they are going to be, out of all of our teams, I think they have the most potential as far as the team to beat. And to see Hayti and South Pem butt heads is going to be a riot. Then we're going to go to teams that are a little farther off. From what I've seen now, this is all, and it's still early. We know that this is all going to be jumbled up by the time we get done with Bloomfield anyway. But I've got Risco at 4. Campbell, I think, is 5, and that might be a little low. They might be even better than that. Like you mentioned, they've already won those 2 tournaments. I like Scott City. I watched a game of theirs. I want to say it was either Friday or Saturday. They seem to really be able to move they play smart. I think they play really smart basketball. Zenith Hornersville, they got good size to them. They can shoot the ball. They're smart with the ball. And then 8, Puxico. 9, don't forget about Charleston. Charleston always good at basketball. And to me, they're scary. And I think when in the mixture, I know that's kind of a low, the number 9 for Charleston. And then I rounded out with Richland because obviously I don't know. I haven't got to see Richland other than on the internet as far as, that goes for a few of these teams, Puxico. But anything you read and then anything you watch and see, and then of course records are going to speak for themselves. So just I'll go back to my top 3. I think right now I like East Prairie a lot. So I got them at number 1. South Pem is kind of a 1-on-1A situation with South Pem, but South Pem is my second. And then I've got Hayti rounding up my top 3. And like I said, give it a week because there's a lot of basketball going on basically every day except for Christmas Day for the next week. So by the end of the week, this whole thing could be flipped upside down. Chris, how about you?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, we're got some similarities. We got some differences, but just to round out, just to go through mine, I do have East Prairie at number 1 as well. Watched them play on tape. Noah Johnson, senior.
Yes.
Man, he is a absolute stud on the court. He's hard to handle, and he kind of had his way with Hayti, and that spoke volumes to me. So East Prairie sitting at 5-0 is number 1. Number 2, I got Puxico. Now, I was looking at their schedule. They did get beat by Thayer the last game they played by like 35, but Thayer is a different animal. If they got a kid also that, he's just a dunk highlight film. But I do, because they got the number 1 seed in the Bloomfield tournament, and I'm going to trust that in that seed meeting that a lot of them coaches knew what they were doing. And so I got to go with them at number 2. South Pem, I got them at number 3. They did look good against that Arkansas team on that game that you broadcasted right here on the Budo Sports Network. They only played 3 games. So, I'm going to put them at the 3 slot. Number 4, I got Risco. They've only lost 1 game. They lost to the Bernie Mules, but they did that back in the 5th of December. It was early in the season, and they're sitting at a solid 7-1. The number 5 team in my top 10 is going to be Hayti. They did lose to East Prairie at the Bulldog Classic. They're sitting at 6-1. They got weapons all over the court. They're a good rebounding team, a good solid number 5 team. Number 6 in my top 10 will be Campbell. They're 7-1. They've only lost to a team out of Memphis, Overton. But man, they won a couple tournaments, like Mark said earlier, but they look really good. Coach Steve Fowler, he's going to always have his guys ready to go, and I've seen that for years. And this group here is good as well. Moving on to number 7, I got Cena Cornersville. They're sitting at 7-1. The only game they've lost is to Kennett back on the 2nd of December. That was early in the season. But man, they look good. They got shooters all over the court, and I know they got one senior hurt that hadn't even played yet. The Rhodes kid, I can't think of his first name, but they're going to be a very good, solid team, and they're my number 7. Number 8, I got the Crowsville Tigers, only because, man, they're tough. I know they played a lot of. They played some gauntlets, and to be sitting at 3-6 is a testament to Coach Bell, because they could easily be 0-9. I mean, playing the teams that they played. So I got them at the 8 seed, or the number 8 spot. Number 9, I went with Woodland, 6-0, and number 10, I went with Scott City, 6-0. And that's my top 10, and that's what things are going to change once these tournaments starts playing and we get into 2025. Charlie?
Well, my top 10's all over the place. I'm just gonna flat out say it first. But number 1, I have South Penn. They're 3-0, but I do believe with how they've returned a lot from their Final Four team and how they just beat a ranked Arkansas team, they are still that team. Number 2, I did a switch while doing my notes. I did a switch and I put Campbell at number 2. Looked it up. They beat Zenith in the Zenith Christmas tournament. It's not on the Misha site, but they beat Zenith. They've beat Bloomfield and just that one loss to Overton. And Overton is a school I can tell you that is like 5 times bigger than Campbell.
That's right.
It might be bigger than the town of Campbell.
Hey, most schools are.
That's true.
3, I have Risco, 7-1. They've had a dominant year. They're the 6th seed in the Christmas tournament, and they won the Clarkton tournament. 4, I have Scott City. They're 6-0, and all their wins are, pure flat-out annihilations this year. 5, I have Puxico. Even though they're the 1 seed in the Bloomfield Christmas tournament, I still think with that one loss, they go down just a little amount. Then 6 is where I put Zenith. Since that Kennett loss, they beat everybody in their way until Campbell in the Christmas tournament. Then 7, I have East Prairie. The reason I have East Prairie at 7 is even though they beat Hayti, they did not reschedule the South Penn game. And to me, I don't think you can be the best if you can't beat the best, You need to reschedule the game in general if you want to prove that you are a number 1 team. 8, it goes to Hayti. Even though they're 6-1, that one loss to East Prairie, they beat Hawcom. they beat Hawcom. And then they beat Twin Rivers too. 9, I have Richland. They're 5-2, but one of those losses were avenged later on in the year. They're 8 in the Bloomfield Christmas tournament, and they've beat Dexter, who is, pretty big. And number 10, I did a switch during my notes. You can't see it because it's in light purple. But Twin Rivers, 6-3. They lost to Hayti, but their wins are good. Their losses are decent enough. And I have some honorable mentions: Bernie, who's 3-2, Crothersville, who's 3-6, and Charleston, who's 3-4. What's your rankings, Mark?
Yeah, and Charlie, that was a good trick. Twin Rivers, I just got to see them play. They got 2 guys that are 6'4", man, and they got a little foul trouble against Hayti. Hayti took advantage of it, but Hayti's got some shooters on their team. And Charlie, I'm also going to agree with you that until somebody can dethrone South Pemscott, they're my number 1 team. They got 4 out of 5 returning starters. Lost J.D. Morton there, the only one they lost. They still got Mayberry, Campbell, Smith, Farmer, little left-handed kid off the Russell, I think is his last name. Maybe not, but anyway, Where's
about
number
Carlisle?
5 there?
Oh, Boyd.
No, Boyd. Yes, Boyd. Yeah, Carlisle can shoot that 3. Is he a starter now, Jeremy?
He's not, but I'll tell you what, when they bring him in, that's why if you guys, anyone that tuned into the game against Riverside, you can tell they use him as a sharpshooter because that's all he did in the game. You got it to the corner, got him open, and man, he can hit the 3.
Yeah, and then my number 2 team is going to be East Prairie, Ty Wallace, Shoemaker, all those guys are doing it up. They will be in that Bloomfield Christmas tournament. I look for them to be in the thick of things in that Bloomfield tournament as well. And then Scott City, as Charlie said, they're just annihilating people. They're 6-0. Just playing their schedule. That's all they can do. And as they head to the SEMO Christmas tournament, I do believe. And then Woodland. Woodland is a team that wasn't even on my radar, but Dustin Ward has been telling me every week, man, you need to look at Woodland. Look at Woodland. So I started keeping an eye on them. And I snuck them in at number 4 this week. They're 6-0. So, and they put off some good wins this past week. And then number 5, I got my Hayti Indians. Of course, I get to see a lot of Hayti basketball. And they got what we call over here is the 4 horsemen of Hayti and Webb, Payne, Love, and then Combat. And that kid, man, he's been filling up the last 2 games. They move in, and then Webb can fill up the 3. Webb's got some offers already as a sophomore. I know Austin P's looking at him. Did an unofficial visit to SEMO as well. So Hayti's got a lot of talent, guys, and they only have 1 senior on that team, and that is Arnez Jones. And I don't think I've seen him the last few games, so I don't know if he's hurt or what's going on there. But they're only 8 deep. That's the one thing that might hurt them. If they get into foul trouble, that is something to look at down the stretch. And then I got Puxco, who even though they lost, they're still one of the top teams, man. They're going to be right there in the thick of things at the end. I moved them down to 6. And then Campbell and Coach Fowler got it going on. A lot of brothers from that championship state team are on that team this year. Siebert, Fowler. They have 1 more, I do believe there is. But those boys are putting it up, man. 7-1. They only lost to a tough Memphis team there in Overton. And then Risco with Sammy Smith and Baker, the field goal maker, still doing it up in Risco. Or 7-1, man, number 8, my team. And then Seton Thornsville comes out at number 9, a very solid team. They're going to go to war with one of the great shooters in the area who's their coach, and that is Coach Moore there, man. He can shoot that thing, could he not, Chris?
Yeah. Man, yes, he could. Kyle Moore.
Yeah. We had the privilege of watching Kyle Moore shoot, man, and play ball. So, and then I snuck Richland in at number 10, and somebody else told me I need to watch them too. So, started watching them a little bit. They're 5-2, and of course they're moving into the Bloomfield Christmas tournament with some of these other teams. So, as you can see, our top 10 might be a little different in the order, but mainly the same teams. Crosville slipped out of mine. That's only because the 2 losses in a row there. Like I said, their strength of schedule is tough, and they'll be back. There's no doubt about that. And so, guys, even though we're different, we're the same but different in the order we see. I think we all feel that the Boot Hill Conference has got great teams. I even talked to Coach Fowler last night through text message to set up the January 6th game I'm going there to, and me and him talked about how solid the Boot Hill Conference team were, man. And not only on top of that conference, that district's going to be stacked too, buddy. Chris, what are your thoughts on the Boot Hill Conference, man, and the schedule-wise and what we got going on forward here?
Well, hey, it's, I know all the rigmarole has happened and this and that and the other, but it's still the Boot Hill Conference, and it's still going to be a sight to behold when it comes down to the 2 semi games and the championship game, because all these players, all these teams, the Boot Hill Conference means something, man. I mean, don't think that you got your SEMO conferences and this and that and the other, but you win a Boot Hill Conference title, you better know, if you know anything about basketball, you've done something. Hey, but big shout out to my Portersville Bulldogs. They took 3rd place in that Clarkton Christmas tournament. They won 2 of their last 3. Coach TJ Smith, things was looking a little grim for the Dogs there, starting out, but they upset, they beat Greenville, upset them, and then they turn around and upset East Carter to take 3rd place. So I wanted to say shout out to them guys for placing 3rd in that tough Clarkton Christmas tournament. But I think it's going to be at Portersville this year. if I ain't mistaken.
That's correct.
Yeah, I think that's right, Sherman. And we have reached out about covering that tournament, so hopefully we'll hear back. And you can't have the Boot Hill Conference tournament without the Boot Hill Sports Network. I mean, our name says it all.
There's no doubt
You
about
got to
that.
have the Boot Hill Sports Network on there. But, you know, you're talking about the Boot Hill Conference, man. I can't wait. I know it's going to be February, and there's still a lot of hoops left to be shot. But I'm really going to be excited when that time comes around, as I know all you guys will as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to throw out there as we went over our list, of course, you know, I'm the Crothersville guy. So for the Crothersville fans wondering why, now don't get me wrong, I think Crothersville is very, very talented. I really do. And I even want to throw those last 4 games, or the opening 4 games to the side, being the Memphis teams and then Poplar Bluff and Jackson. So the problem is the last couple games, the Tigers, and they're very, very aggressive on defense. They've gotten in a lot of foul trouble, and it's come from a couple of their top shooters. Claude McVeigh is probably the most consistent shooter on the team. And in the last 2 games, he's had 4 fouls, either at the start of the third quarter, or I think, Charlie, if I'm right, he had 4 either late in the second quarter or it was just both in the third quarter.
He had 4 in both the Notre Dame and O'Brien games right at the 2:30 mark of the third quarter.
Right.
Was when he got the fouls.
So he wasn't on the floor for the Crothersville. And I really do think, and that, and they've been a little weak on the free throw side of the game, and Charlie can attest to that too. You fix the foul trouble and you fix the free throws. I think the schedule, their record, and I think we're going to see that going into the Boot Hill Conference tournament. Me and Charlie were talking about that just the other night. With the schedule they got coming up, they got some tough teams on there. But if they can fix just the small mistakes, Crothersville's not just going to be back up in the top 10. They'll probably be inching up towards the top 5. They've just got to lock down a couple things, and that's the only reason that I don't have them in the top 10 this week. So don't Crothersville fans, don't think that your guys hating on them, but there's some other teams that are showing out so far this year, and Crothersville's still an honorable mention, that's for sure.
Charlie, you got anything off that?
I mean, it's really been a tough last 2 games for Crothersville. It just going into the fourth quarter of both games, a lot of confidence, and while we're up there, a lot of confidence while Jeremy and I are calling the game, and it feels like the players know what's at hand. They know, put the Notre Dame game in example. They know, we're about to upset Notre Dame, and then we just get too aggressive, and we get someone fouled out nearly, or have to be gone for a little bit, and it feels like the cavalcade just comes, and we go down by 10, and we just kind of can't come back. It's like we're stuck in this endless loop of play where the first quarter we look good, second quarter look really good, third quarter get a couple players in foul trouble, and then fourth quarter it's just that we can't do it. But obviously with the schedule that's upcoming with the Manila Christmas tournament, there's still a lot of room for some change to happen with the Tigers, and I hope, Jeremy hopes, we all hope to see the change happen, and the Tigers to come back into the top 10 and even into the top 5.
Yeah, a couple things there. South Pim and Hayti will be well rested, as neither one of them plays till the 6th and 7th of the year. So definitely got time to rest their legs and heal up any injuries they have. And now let's talk about the matchups in the Bloomfield Christmas tournament. You got number 1 Bucksco going against number 16 Gideon, and number 8 Richland at number 9 Twin Rivers. That should be a good game there, guys. 8 versus 9, always a good game. And then your number 4 Bernie Mules taking on Chris's number 13 Portersville Bulldogs. That is a 12:45 game on December the 26th, so a day after Christmas. And Kennett got the number 5 seed. They play number 12, East Carter County. And then there's East Prairie, the number 2 seed, as they take on Holcomb Hornets. And number 7 is Van Buren taking on Donovan. Number 3 seed Dexter kind of surprised there, and number 14 Malden, and Risco gets the number 6 seed. I don't know if they've done this seeding before Risco and East Carter slid in, or how it went, but pretty sure they had to have the seedings already done, because Risco is definitely better than a 6 seed in my opinion, and they get the benefit of the doubt there, and they got a good chance to roll all the way to the semifinals against East Prairie as they take on a Bloomfield team there. So, thoughts on the Bloomfield Christmas tournament on that first round matchup, Chris?
Yeah, I like where Portersville is. They're a 13 seed. They ain't got nothing to lose. It's always good when you ain't got no pressure on you. Coach Smith's going to have them guys ready, and they're going to play Bernie. Coach Jason Long is, he's a steady course there at Bernie, and that's going to be a good game. It's a 4-13 matchup, but I wouldn't be surprised. You get Zay Bogan hot and Deuce Hickenbottom hot, and you never know what's going to happen there. And then, of course, the winner will play the winner of Kennett and East Carter, and I think that's going to be a pretty decent game as well. Kennett with the 5 seed, East Carter with the 12, and Portersville's beat East Carter in the Clarkton tournament. So I like where the Bulldogs are as far as that goes. So. Go Dogs! They'll have the third game, and you know how it goes at Bloomfield. You get a couple blowouts, and it may start a little bit before 12:45. So that's the schedule tip. But for all you Bulldog fans who want to watch your Bulldogs, I'd be getting there about 11:15. And while I got a little bit of airtime, let me say this too. We hadn't talked much about the girls, but the Portersville Lady Bulldogs, they're in the Lady Royals Christmas tournament, and they were going to face off against Twin Rivers in the second round. It's a 3-6 matchup. The Portersville, they're 5-2. The Lady Dogs have won their last 3, and they actually beat Twin Rivers on the 9th of December. So they win that game. They're in the semifinals. So, hey, go Lady Bulldogs, Coach Kelly Fowler. And her group, they got some good players on that team, and I'm looking for big things for the Lady Dogs as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I had a chance of just covering Twin Rivers, the Lady Royals, as our Lady Indians lost a hard-fought battle to them, and Twin Rivers got pretty good girls there. Man, they hang a lot of banners in that gym for the lady basketball, if you ever been there. And that is a good tournament every year. And that is being streamed by our buddies over there at KWOC. So make sure you chime in there and watch some good ladies basketball. And speaking of ladies basketball, we got to give a little update news. I think Hate Ties lost one of their starters for the year, and Deasia Williamson. She's been having some shoulder issues, been hurt twice now, and I think we're going to lose her for the end of the year. She's got to have surgery, so she's definitely going to be missed for the Lady Indians. So that's a big loss for that team that started out great, man, and winning the Al Jackson Classic. Their third time winning that one before moving on and losing the other night to Twin Rivers. But they're still 5-3, young season. Time to get back on track and make things happen. Go ahead, Charlie or Jeremy, whoever goes next.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Well, back onto the Bloomfield Christmas tournament, and that Bernie Portageville game is going to be a thriller. I can tell you that. Both these teams are, pretty evenly matched in my opinion. I don't believe the seeds really represent both of these teams. This could be a 4 versus 13 that looks like an 8 versus 9. And when you look at that Richland Twin Rivers, which is the 8 versus 9, you see two teams that, to me, have kind of flown under the radar for this year. This Richland team's been a surprise for me. I was not following Richland basketball. The Rebels have looked pretty good. Like I said, 5-2 with a loss that they changed into a win later in the year against, I believe, Bell City. So that's my game to watch for this tournament, or this first round. Obviously, I think Risco Bloomfield sounds pretty good. Kennett East Carter. I've just going to be honest, never seen East Carter play before. So I'm very excited to see them play against a Kennett team that's looked pretty good this year. Jeremy?
Oh, I actually we share the same kind of feelings. I do think I agree with you, Mark, on Risco. I thought the 16 was a little off, maybe, but there's no telling when that happened and when it didn't. Because I think Risco can go far. I can see them in the semifinals. However, I am looking forward to that Kenneth East Carter game. I'm like Charlie. I don't know much about East Carter, and what I've seen out of Kenneth, at times they look brilliant, and then they can get a little sloppy. So, yeah, and of course, this is like in the college hoops. That's that 12-5 matchup you never know about. I don't have a lot of faith in the lower seeded teams. If I had to pick an upset, it'd probably be either the 12 or the 13. But when we went over our top 10s and we mentioned several of these teams, I think that tournament is really going to be the first point of the season where we can finally say, where we can really start separating the men from the boys a little bit, at least from the top 10 as well as the rest of the season. And it's just, like we started the show with, it's just an absolute shame of the two teams that won't be in there, because that would have made that tournament just that much better. I've been to that tournament probably can count on two hands, and that's it. How many times I've been to the tournament. It's a fantastic tournament, and I wouldn't be surprised of any of the top 6 teams winning it. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. Top 6, 7, 8, maybe, who knows, with Risco being seated where they're at. But I know, Charlie, talking about that Richland team. Charlie, they had a good run last year, man, and they went all the way to the quarterfinals, I do believe, where they played Chadwick, and they just got some revenge on Chadwick this year. But they went 23-8 last year. They won that district and beat Risco in the district, and they lost to Chadwick in the state playoffs. So that team is going to make some noise again this year, along with the other teams that are, man, I'm just excited for our basketball season. I tell you, I love football, but I love some basketball too, man. And things are really going to heat up and come January for sure.
Hey, Mark, also, Coach Matt Klein, who's the Richland coach. Me and you, we've seen him. He's been there a while. And another interesting note, too, and it may be the only one, but he's got a lady that is his assistant coach, Coach Depew, Stephanie Depew, who's been there with him for some years now. So, hey, look out for them Richland Rebels. I know they took their lumps in the past.
Sure have.
We watched it, but man, I'm glad to see them back on the winning track. And Coach Klein's hung in there, and he's turned that program around. So, kudos to Richland.
Yeah, it seemed like every year they was a number 16 seed there for a while and just took their lumps. But as a matter of fact, the guy who coaches Hockham now, he kind of looks like the Richland coach. I said, I should have known different, because the Richland coach wears some cowboy boots. You got on tennis shoes. So he's always got the butt kickers on, and that's exactly what they're doing. All right, guys, you got any closing thoughts there, J-Rock?
Well, first of all, I want to get an answer from Joe Epic here. Chris, you got an answer for that?
Yeah, I do. Hey, man, I'm going to be wearing my Bulldog gear. I always going to love the Hayti Indians, but my daughter goes to school here in Portersville, and I live here now, and I'm vested. I'm invested in this school, in this school district, and there's a lot of good people here, and life makes changes, and changes happen, but as long as my Bulldogs are playing, I'm going to be rooting for them dogs. But hey, if something happens to them, I ain't got no problem in saying, go Hayti. So I will be having my Portersville Bulldog gear on there, Joe Epic.
All right. Yeah, Mark, my final thoughts are just, of course, the top 10s that we all spit out there, changing rapidly. I do want to, for everyone out there listening and watching, go back and listen to this. Please tune in and watch Caruthersville in this tournament. So again, it starts on Thursday, the day after Christmas. So come on, most of you are off working, you know it. You're going to be fat and tired from all that you ate at Christmas. Sit around and watch what's going to be a great tournament. Caruthersville plays both nights, both Thursday and Friday at 6:30. The first night against Gosnell the second night against Manila. It is in Manila, and I'll be there covering it. Possibly Mark on the first night. We're going to figure out those details, but no matter what, we're going to have that on the Boot Hill Sports Network. I look forward to it. I look forward to Caruthersville with a couple days off rebounding because, like Charlie talked about, the fourth quarter has been a little rough, closing out the games. But we know Coach Bell is all over that, and Caruthersville has too much talent to be sitting with a losing record, and I think that's going to change real quick. And like Chris Stone said, Manila is tough, and I've heard that too. I've seen just some stats. I haven't seen them play, but we'll get to see them play Friday, and that's obviously what Caruthersville's been about so far, is playing some pretty tough teams, and according to Coach Bell, he wouldn't have it any other way. So 2 more tough ones coming up, and then I just invite everyone to tune in Thursday and Friday and possibly Saturday, depending on the outcome. And once again, for everyone who's tuned in up to this point to the basketball season, it's only going to get bigger and better. So we want to appreciate you and all of our new sponsors as well. Thank you, everyone, for making the Boot Hill Sports Network happen. That's all I got for this week.
Final thoughts from me, Mark. A couple things. One, good luck to Coach Bell and the Tigers and their upcoming tournament. Also, good luck to Coach TJ Smith and my Portersville Bulldogs in the Bulldog Classic. And I'll leave it on this note. I know a lot of discord has happened about tournaments getting kicked out of Bloomfield and this and that, but you know what they say, when life hands you lemons, you make some pretty good lemonade, and maybe we can talk about this in some upcoming episodes. But there's some work being placed right now and taking place right now, and we may have a tournament of our own down here at the Boot Hill in the future Christmases. So thanks to our sponsors as well for making the Boot Hill Sports Network happen. Charlie?
Final thoughts. Let's just enjoy Christmas, enjoy these tournaments, enjoy some good hoops, some good football tomorrow. Go Pack, go. Good bowl games that are going to happen this week, and just enjoy life as it is. And that's really my final thoughts.
Okay, yeah, final thoughts, Mike. We got some good breaking news here, guys. We're going to have the first ever Boot Hill Sports Network Awards show. That will be May the 1st. I know last year we just kind of gave out the awards during the season. So we already have all our football awards in. They're sitting in my office. We'll be handing those out along with other awards throughout the year. And, of course, we have the big one, our male athlete and female athlete of the year. Last year, the male athlete went to Mr. Jadis Jones of New Madrid, and then Angela Dobbins of Malden. So any school in the Boot Hill can win it, guys. I mean, classes 1 through 3 is what we concentrate on. That's what we do for. And so come May the 1st, be invitation only. But we're going to stream it live and have a big award show and do it right, man. And we thank each and every one of our sponsors out there. And also on starting Christmas night, we're going to recap and have some of the greatest games in 24 start streaming through Christmas week and New Year's Day. So the top games, we're going to reach into that old Boot Hill Sports Network vault and pull out some of those great games and enjoy watching those and reliving those, man.
I put up a link on there. Sorry, I put the wrong date, but just because this, in case you don't just search Manila tournament, it's the Big River Steel Lion basketball tournament. Just in case you can't find it, folks, just look in the comments, and there it is. And it's the 26th. I was typing fast.
26 YJ.
Couple typos.
Yeah, you're good.
It's the 35th.
Hey, we got extra days, baby. Leap year after leap year.
We got 10.
I was typing as fast as I could, and yeah, sorry about that. The 26th, Thursday.
All right, so Jeremy will be the only one with a game until after the new year. Him and Charlie, they're going to have those Manila, Arkansas games for you coming live from over there.
No, Charlie.
No, Charlie.
Charlie. I'll be in Memphis.
Charlie bailing out on you, Jay.
That's all right. I did the Steel game by myself. It's a lot to do, but
you did a great job too.
that we got it accomplished, and you know what? Before we go, I should say I want to give a shout out to South Pembascot School District, the school, their administration. But they invited us to come. They were so very, very cordial, very nice. Had me all set up and just treated me like royalty. So thank you, South Pem, and I look forward to coming back and cover some more games because they're fun to watch. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there's some good people down there at South Pem. Jason House, Jordan McGowan, his family, Jackie Booker, and the host of South Pembascot family down there. And we just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we will see you after the new year right here on Shooting Hoops in the Boot. Look at Charlie. Charlie got the fireworks going.
Oh, no, I did that.